But the people attitude, it's just amazing. The level of gratitude. I've never seen how people were so grateful for so little that we can offer to them. So I just love that beautiful side of the Cambodian people. And that was one of the kind of motivation why I wanted to write a lot of those stories. I was helping to build a community library here in Siem Reap. I started spending a lot of time in the village with people I encounter, listen to their stories, learn about the customs and the culture. And I start sharing their stories with my friends and family, purely using photography and storytelling to trigger more compassion and love in the world. But very quickly, we got a lot of good feedback, and friends gave me a lot of motivation and say, let's take one more step. Where I am now is the home that I normally stay when I come to the village. And from here, roughly 1 or 2 kilometers away, is a primary school. Lots of times I just watch some of the kids, how they have to come out and walk in the high heat for a good 30 minutes just to get to school. So I start having conversation with the principal, Sayong. I was doing my usual things, asking questions, taking photos, but not until I asked Sayong, what is your dream? It was very simple. He said, I want to give bicycles to my students so that they can come to school.
So good morning, Victoria, and thank you so much for granting us the opportunity for the interview here at Rolous Secondary School in Bakong District, Siem Reap Province. And Victoria, you have been working in the educational sector and also the charity for this school and other many schools in Siem Reap. And also you have helped a lot of local children, through scholarship and also, e-learning and also extracurricular activity in, the rural area of Siem Reap. And as I was informed, you came here in 2017. So, to let our audiences know what you are doing here, can you tell us a bit like why do you prefer Siem Reap in 2017?
What brought me to Siem Reap?
Yeah, what brought you to Siem Reap?
I think this question I get asked very often. Well, clearly I'm not Cambodian, and why am I so passionate about helping Cambodia? I guess Siem Reap and Cambodia choose me rather than I choose Cambodia. I came from a very simple and working class family from Hong Kong. We didn't have a lot, and education at that time was a little bit of a privilege. So not everybody can go to particularly higher education. And my marks were not that great, as I wasn't a very bright student, put it this way. But my elder sisters sacrificed a lot to help the family. They even stopped their own primary education to come and help the family. But for me, I was determined to go for more and more education. Parents could not afford, so I started applying for scholarships, one after one. Eventually, Australia answered my wish and gave me a scholarship, and I went to Australia, and that changed my life. Fast forward 30 years later, I built a successful career in human resources.
I see.
I believe in people, and I have a beautiful family with a young child at that time. But there's something missing. I felt a lot of my effort didn't lead to impact, particularly impact to the world. So 8 years ago, I had an opportunity to do something different. I came to Cambodia to volunteer. Someone asked me to come to build a library in one of the villages.
So before that, you never know Cambodia before?
I actually came as a young child on a tour. I remember going to Angkor Wat. I was actually amazed how big, how large and how beautiful Angkor Wat is. In my adulthood, I never actually kind of thought too much about Cambodia, with no disrespect.
Yes.
But life just happened. I was busy building up my career. But when there was the opportunity to come and as a project manager, I came to build a library for a village. And the best thing happened to me was the organization put me to a homestay in the village called Pumo, which is in Siem Reap. And this family now is the second family of mine. And I'm so fortunate, to meet those beautiful people. And while I was staying in the village, and I start to do a bit of research as a HR practitioner, you always kind of look at, what is the problem with this, society or community? And then we kind of felt that we could do something to help the little ones, the children, to go to school. So that's kind of started with my, serving a purpose journey. Yeah.
So everything happened more or less by chance. You meet the family, you came to Cambodia. So everything is like, according to, not really to the plan, but more like, according to the flow, that's what you mean, yeah.
I like the word, the flow.
The flow, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was a chance. I felt it was the flow. Sometime in life, I feel no plan is the best plan because there's a lot of things that is outside of our control, particularly, for example, who we're going to meet, what exactly we're going to do. I feel, with all my life experiences, a lot of time things don't happen according to plan. So the best strategy is to have no plan, keep open mind. So that's what I did actually in the village. In the beginning, it was a little bit of adjustment, because I've been living in Australia for 30-something years. Coming and living in a Cambodian village, it's a little bit of shock to the system. Yeah, but I love every single minute.
So after you come here to volunteer, you decided to come here again, for the project? I mean, is that, something that you wish to do? Or maybe you went back there, you stay there for a bit and then you realize, I need to come back. What was the intermediate, process in that time?
So I started my time while I was building this library. I started writing stories. I met so many wonderful people in the village, outside of the village, and I got really touched with the stories. Listening to the stories was actually part of I feel that I was actually meant to go there and listen to the stories. And I decided to write, so I call People of Siem Reap. And I've written close to about maybe 100 stories by now.
Only your story?
Me writing other people's stories.
Oh, yeah.
So for example, I'll have a conversation with them. And I'm quite a photographer, so I love taking portraits. So using portraits and the storytelling. And I just really want to trigger more compassion and love to the world. So I was just sharing a lot of those stories online. And a lot of my friends back in Australia and Asia just say, this is really powerful. Can we do something to help those beautiful people in Cambodia?
But how do you, go and, like, for example, not interview, but, learn the story of each people, like, you pick, some individual, you study them first, or you just go there, meet them, and then, do according to the flow that you say?
I guess it's a little bit of combination. The flow just came to me, and for example, I never knew you, but today I met you. That could be a chance that I'll write your story also. So, but in the beginning, it was pretty much about people I just met. Of course, I didn't speak the language, so I have some help for my homestay children. So they were at that time just ready to be in secondary school. So the English was okay, so they were the translators for me. So we visited so many people in the village, and the old ones, the young ones, and also some of the people in the city. So when I go to a conference in the city or when I stay in a guest house, and there's so many interesting people I met. And I feel that the people in Cambodia, they all have so much to share. But one thing really touched my heart is, after whatever happened in the 70s, the genocide, the country is still very young in rebuilding what they want to have. But the people attitude, it's just amazing. The level of gratitude. I've never seen how people were so grateful for so little that we can offer to them. So I just love that beautiful side of the Cambodian people. And that was one of the kind of motivation why I wanted to write a lot of those stories.
Yes, ma'am. But you said 100 stories that you have written. So is there anything that touches your heart the most? Excitedly or maybe, sadly, something like that?
The first name came to my head is Lisa.
Lisa.
So Lisa was a young girl and she came to us as a scholarship student, started with grade 7. I remember every time when I went to the school, Lisa would come and try to have a conversation in English with me. So she has a very lovely, positive kind of character. So I enjoy having conversation with Lisa. But when COVID hit, Lisa went missing. We couldn't find her. We went to the school asking teachers, we couldn't find her. We went to her home, we couldn't find her, asking all her friends, we couldn't find her. And eventually, after maybe 6 months or so, Lisa came back to the village with a boy and also being pregnant. At that time, Lisa was only about 15.
Oh, very young. Yeah.
Very young. And our hearts goes out to her, but you know, that's her decision to make, you know, having a family. And I learned about, you know, the acceptance of underage mothers is quite common in Cambodia, in the village. So we were just there to help. So she quit school. The husband at that time was 16. So he also quit school. So he started working at a construction site.
Yes.
And Lisa was just getting ready to become a mother. But unfortunately, I think that was maybe around 3 months before the child was born. The young husband, fell off from the second level of a construction site and he died on impact. And Lisa was left with the baby in her tummy and she had to return back to her village, to her mom. So eventually, Lisa became a mother at the age of 16. And I was having a discussion with Lisa and I said, what is your plan? And Lisa said to me, oh, teacher, I'm so sorry. I made such a big mistakes. I did so wrong. And then my advice for Lisa at that time was, you lived 16 years of your life. Do you want to continue to regret about the 16 years? Or you want to look forward to the 84 years you're going to live and be the master of that 84 years? And I saw a spark in her eyes. And I said to her, what do you want to do? She said, teacher, I want to go back to school.
That is why you offer her the scholarship and then something like that.
So we actually came up with a return to school program to bring her back to school. And as you probably know, after having a baby, return to school is not normal.
It's not easy also.
It's not easy, exactly. So we came up with a program, help her. And Lisa has graduated last year and she's now working at a hotel as the front office. So, and also, you know, making her living, raising her daughter. So I'm very proud of Lisa. So that's one of the most, you know, impactful stories.
But also a happy ending story for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And also, you know, I look into your website and you have several, you know, or maybe 4 projects. One of them, of course, is the bike for life, something like that. And also the sports section, the e-learning section, and also, of course, the scholarship. So I know there are many, you know, stuff to be for us to talk, but can you briefly like explain each, you know, a part of your program altogether?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, before we're going into the programs, I think it's important to understand the purpose. You know, what are we trying to do? What problem we're trying to solve? It was very surprisingly learn about in Cambodia, 1 in 5 children tend to drop out of school, particularly the first year into secondary education. We find that there are a lot of social issues tangled into this educational problem. Yes. So PeopleStories is very determined to serve this purpose to help children complete school. We believe education should be a basic human right. It should not be a privilege. Access to quality education should be enjoyed by all children so they can pursue their dreams, you know, and get a brighter future. So our work is in the rural area and helping those, particularly coming from a poverty background, children to enjoy access to quality education.
So if I cut you a bit, so how big is your project in Siem Reap right now? You said you have expanded more than 13 districts, something like that?
Yeah. Correct. So at the moment, we support 17 schools with the government. They're all in Bakong district. And we're very fortunate. We're going out from Bakong now. So 2 other districts have requested our support. So we're going into the 2 other districts. Our core program is called School for Life, which is a complete scholarship program. When I say complete, it's not just we give them materials in the beginning of the school year, but we actually follow them. We look at the school results, we look at the absenteeism, we go to the home to visit to see what's happening.
So you have become like their guardian in a sense.
Exactly. So in 2017, we started with 21 scholarships, 21 children and the family. And this year, we're very proud. We have already given out 200 scholarships to 200 children and a family. And we're hoping that we close this year with another 50, so 250 scholarships to children and the family. So that's our core program. The second program we run is Mobile Digital School. Inspired by COVID, when children could not come to school, and we just have a spirit. We said, if they can't come to school, why don't we bring school to them? So we converted a tuk-tuk and become a pop-up school. Sometimes I call it school on wheels. So this tuk-tuk carry all the technology equipment. They traveled from one school to the other, offer professional e-learning to our students. So,
but is it your first idea, like completely first idea, or you get inspired by some other places in other part of the world?
So PeopleStories is the number one and only actually implemented mobile digital school, particularly in rural area in Cambodia. There are a lot of mobile libraries. The team researched and then we have seen there are a lot of those similar concepts in Africa, but none of the institutions offer digital learning. Okay, so we took on the concept of the mobility, but we push it forward to quality learning. So now it's not just e-learning, it's blended learning. So some of the students will have to do projects. We're very proud with the critical thinking course that we have designed and implemented. In 2024, we even actually got an award from Australia, LearnX Industry Award for the best e-learning project.
Yes, ma'am.
So we look at the quality of the learning. But I have to also share in the beginning when we introduced the laptop and then the mouse and the headset to the student. On one hand, they're all very excited because they've never seen it. But on the other hand, they're also very nervous because they have never used technology to learn. It's totally, transforming how they learn in the rural area.
Well, they do have smartphone, they do have, smaller devices, but not computer that they can type something like that. So that is why they are a bit nervous in that
Close
case.
to 70% of our students do not own a mobile device.
No, okay.
So the parents may. And also before COVID, even mobile phone was quite basic, the Motorola touchpad. Everybody has that. But having a smartphone is not that common in the village. And also, internet is a huge problem. And our team invented a remote server. So all our learning is bypass internet. We don't need internet. And we have a remote server helping them to have web-based e-learning units. So we're very proud with what we have achieved and also look forward to more quality education for the children in the villages.
Yes, ma'am. And also you mentioned Bike for Life. So bike, for mobility. So, that is also part of your core plan.
Yes. I guess that when you think about in Cambodia, 70% of your population are all living in the rural area. And in the rural area, distance to school is one of the major issues. So the district that we're serving, we have close to 40 primary schools, but we only have 10 secondary schools. And on the top, for high school, we only have 4. So you can imagine how far a little kid has to travel from primary school and in the village when they grow up to the high school. So some of our schools and children have to travel about 15K each way just to get to school. So mobility is a huge issue. So we believe that a simple bicycle is not just about mobility. It's a sense of getting somewhere. It's a sense of accessing something that they might not be able to normally.
Yes, ma'am. I see. And also sport. So you bring the coach from abroad because in the picture I saw like coaches from abroad. So you also introduce them to Cambodia also.
Yeah. So we believe school can be fun. I came from a very traditional and conventional kind of education system in Hong Kong, where memorization is number one.
Oh, okay.
And I do believe school can be much more interactive, activity-based, and have fun. So some of my network are big sports fans, and they really wanted to give us a bit of hand. But while we're doing sports, we also realized that there is quite a lack of gender equality. So girls are not encouraged to play sports. So when we were implementing some of the sports program, we actually talked very big to the girls. Girls can do sports. And this school, Rolous School that you're in, their football team, the girls, are actually number one in the district. So we do support, having sports for more fun to come to school, but also giving a message to the community, girls equally can perform well.
Yes, ma'am. And also like a bit of a deeper understanding toward the scholarship. So do you offer scholarship to just everyone, or they need to apply to you, and what kind of criteria do you need from them?
It's actually quite interesting because being a HR practitioner, we believe in a selection process. So the process has been quite structured and well designed. The first, we got criteria including the family financial situation and how much they're committed to go to school. We even actually conduct home visit to go in. To my friends in overseas, they're probably quite surprised when we actually, have a checklist to see how many cows do they have, do they have a television, do they have a refrigerator? But it makes sense in here because those items seems to be deemed to be luxury. So for a lot of the families that we support, they don't even actually have a TV or refrigerator. So we help those families who struggle financially, but more importantly, we want to cultivate and work with them, to unleash the power of education. So the commitment to education needs to be there. But of course, we work with the government schools. The school directors' endorsement is our very big consideration because they know the community so well. They know most of the students. Yeah, so we do take on the referral or recommendation of who to select.
And once they obtain a scholarship, you support them from grade 7 to grade 9, all in the secondary school realm.
So the School for Life scholarship is for 6 years. So from grade 7 all the way to grade 12. But it doesn't mean if they get approved on the year 1, they get approved for 6 years. Every year they have to reapply. So we will go and reassess because things tend to change. And we want to make sure our donation is well spent with the people who need them the most. So in order to maintain a fairness in our selection, every year we go through the process again to make sure the children we're supporting are the ones that I need.
Yes, ma'am. But again, because this is a bit, maybe the question may not be well phrased, but do you think that rural life impedes the ability for them to study? Because normally when in general they think that rural life is a bit hard. People have to work outside in the farm and then study. But at the same time, in the city, a student can also get distracted. From the smartphone, from the luxury life. So do you think that rural life impedes the study, or with proper education and technique, they can also study well than those who live in the city?
So I'm going to give a very general answer to this. I think the situation in the rural area in Cambodia is very applicable to the rest of the world. So I feel Cambodia is not alone. So if you consider other developing countries, your neighbors in Laos, your neighbors in Myanmar, and go a bit further to Africa. So I feel the rural area have a very similar pattern of social issues plus educational needs. And if you ask me the questions, children born in the rural community, are they disadvantaged? In some way, I think they are, because they are born in the environment that they don't have a lot of choices. Children in the city, I feel they have more choices. So if you talk about smartphone and things, a lot of our children in the rural have never had or seen a smartphone. So I think the choices are limited. the quality of education in the rural also is impacted because, the quality of the teachers, the resources from the school, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of capability, lack of technology. I was actually recently I was at a conference with some of the colleagues in Phnom Penh, and we were talking about innovation and technology for education. My question for my colleagues were, 70% of the Cambodian population are in the rural. I describe it as like you're using a tuk-tuk to tow a Titanic at the back. So it's great to have a powerful motorbike, but the back is still very heavy. What can we do to help the whole nation to move forward? Is more effort, need to focus, with the rural area. So PeopleStories is very proud. We started with the one and only digital school, and we're not going to stop. We continue to build far more courses to support the mobile digital school. But one of the ambition now, we are trying to bring AI into learning. Of course, AI is quite popular and common in the other worlds. It started to take a little bit of traction in Cambodia. But what if AI can be offline? What if AI can be totally safe and secure?
So how do you hope AI can help them? In what way? Because AI is a very general thing also.
We are hoping, first is the infrastructure of AI. We're hoping to bring the AI capability offline. And so we have a restricted learning environment for the children that they're safe and relevant. We are hoping to load up the Cambodian syllabus onto the AI. We're hoping to use AI to help teachers to design the lesson plan, which are relevant to the students' learning. So we're very early in this, but we do have the ambition, to see how we can offer more to the rural education, which very often they don't have the access to that infrastructure or capabilities.
Yes, ma'am. And also, because you have been working in many villages and also a lot of students, do you have any feedback, positive feedback or possibly negative feedback from the teachers or maybe the parents? I mean, what do you hear from them after you teach their kids,
In general, we always receive a lot of positive feedback, and the parents will come and thank us for coming in to help. My advice is we have to work together. I always look at us beyond a charity. We are here to partner with the community to make those changes. And we often say, I'm not here to give you a fish for today. I'm here to teach you how to fish for tomorrow. So I urge all the school directors, teachers to get on board to look at how can we provide greater access and quality education to the children. Often I see some of the school directors, they are spending so much effort to make those changes. They need more support from the local community and the government and also the teachers. So everybody get on board. And I believe, the power comes from unity, come from the community. So my little request and also advice is stick together. Together we can achieve great things.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much, Victoria, for your insightful interview in Siem Reap province and about, of course, the rural life and also, how education can change it for the betterment.
Thank you. I just want to make a statement to everybody who might listen or watch this video. Cambodia needs you. The children in rural Cambodia needs your help. If you believe about the future for children and the power of education, come and support Cambodia. Come and support PeopleStories. And together, I really believe we can make a big difference. Thank you.
So thank you, Miss Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you.